This is the Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, and they have the biggest battery ever on a Pixel device, and they're the first to use Google's custom chip, the Tensor chip. So let's see how they fare in terms of battery life and charging performance. Here we have some of its best competition out there. Its predecessor, the Google Pixel 5, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, and the OnePlus 9 Pro. As always, I've made sure to match all the settings, including of course display brightness, and let's jump right in with some Instagram Reels. The 6 Pro and the S21 Ultra both have the biggest batteries at 5000 mAh. The regular Pixel 6 has a 4600 mAh one, 4500 on the OnePlus 9 Pro, a little below that on the iPhone, and the Pixel 5 has the smallest battery at 4000 mAh. An hour in, we already have some big differences in terms of battery life. The iPhone is completely dominating with 99% remaining still, and the Pixel 6 Pro is actually in last place with only 91% remaining. Let's keep going and see if it can redeem itself in the next rounds. Now the screen obviously has a major impact on battery performance. We have a 6.8-inch panel on the S21 Ultra. Slightly smaller is the one on the 6 Pro with 6.7 inches, as well as on the iPhone and the OnePlus. The OnePlus and the 6 Pro both have a Quad HD resolution as well, but the iPhone is slightly below that, in between Quad HD and 1080p. The Pixel 6 has a 6.4-inch 1080p screen, while the Pixel 5 has the smallest at 6 inches, also 1080p. The Pixel 5 and Pixel 6 are the only ones running at a fixed 90 Hz, while all the other devices have a variable 120 Hz refresh rate. I'm very curious to see how that affects battery life. After an hour of Spotify, we do see a clear trend developing, with the iPhone still dominating 8% more than the second place, which would be the Pixel 6. Interesting is also that the Pixel 6 has better battery life so far than the 6 Pro, but we'll see how that develops. Next up is some video recording, a very intense task and drains battery like crazy. And interestingly enough, the OnePlus actually stopped the recording roughly 20 minutes in because it said the device was just too hot and it refused to continue recording. That's not a good look, and all the others managed just fine, but they did sometimes dim the screen a bit. After some more gaming, we're 3 hours in. The iPhone is still crushing it at 80% remaining. The regular Pixel 6 still has a big lead over the 6 Pro, but the 6 Pro is not in last place anymore. I did still want to continue with some more video recording, this time full HD at 60 FPS, but after around 15 minutes again, the OnePlus said the temperature was just too high and stopped the recording. That's definitely not something you'd like to see on your device. 4 hours in, the OnePlus, the Pixel 5 and 6 Pro have less than half remaining, while the iPhone is still dominating with 69% remaining. The 6 Pro did, however, manage to get a small gap over the Pixel 5 now. Moving on with some YouTube and then a little gaming. The OnePlus 9 Pro is really not doing well with only 27% remaining. However, the Pixel 5 and 6 Pro are not that great either. Now, for the first time ever, the Pixels are using their own custom chip made by Google, the Tensor chip. So I thought it'd be nice to run a few benchmarks now, starting with Geekbench 5. And to be honest, the results are a little underwhelming. Sure, it's a major improvement over the Snapdragon 765G on the Pixel 5, but that was more of a mid-range chip compared to the flagship chips, the Snapdragon 888 on the 9 Pro and the S21 Ultra's Snapdragon 2100, and especially the iPhone's A15 Bionic chip. They can't measure up, unfortunately. Let's test the graphics performance. And unfortunately, the new Pixels did have some kind of issue where the benchmark would just crash, and I did run it a few times, but I could not get a score out of them. So instead, I moved on to the 3D Mark benchmark. And here the Tensor chips did perform pretty well. They're pretty much on par as the Snapdragon 888 and the Exynos 2100, and a massive improvement over the Pixel 5 chip, but the iPhone is still dominating with its very impressive A15 Bionic chip. But to be fair, the iPhone was also the one that dimmed the screen the most. The results of the Antutu benchmark are also quite interesting. The Tensor is pretty much on par, but slightly below the Snapdragon 888. Again, a big improvement over the Pixel 5, but they can't compare it with the iPhone or even the Exynos chip on the Samsung. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, a thumbs up down below would be much appreciated. We're over 6 hours in already, and the OnePlus is not doing well at all. It only has 13% remaining, while the iPhone still has a crazy 51%. In second place is still the Samsung and the Pixel 6 with a third remaining. And I thought this would be a great time to do a standby test as we don't use our phones non-stop constantly. Let me quickly tell you about this video's sponsor, Dr. Phone by Wondershare. If you've ever tried to switch between Android and iOS, you know what a pain that can be. Dr. Phone makes this process seamless. My favorite feature is WhatsApp transfer. It lets you backup, view, export, and of course, restore all of your WhatsApp chats and media. That way, all of your data will be safe and you don't lose anything when switching devices. You can find more information about the full Dr. Phone toolkit on their website, including features like phone manager and data recovery. So if you're looking to switch between Android and iOS, maybe you want to get the new Pixel 6, try Dr. Phone for free using the link below. And thanks again to Wondershare for sponsoring this part of the video. Now back to the battery test. They've been in standby for 9 hours now, and the results are shocking. The Samsung did the best, losing only 4%. The iPhone lost 5%. The OnePlus and the Pixel 5 did not do well, losing 7%. But the new Pixels lost a crazy 11%. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's horrible standby time. Before, the Samsung and the Pixel 6 were tied, but now there's a big gap between them. That is something Google will definitely have to work on with the Tensor 2 chip. I made sure that they're still on the same brightness, and let's keep going with some TikTok. And there goes the OnePlus 9 Pro. It's the first to go at 6 hours and 51 minutes. Maybe it can make up for its subpar battery in the charging test later on. 7 hours in, the Pixel 5 and the 6 Pro are on single digits only. Surprisingly, despite being 2% ahead of the Pixel 5, the 6 Pro was the first one to go. At 7 hours and 12 minutes, it's a decent result, but nothing too impressive. It shows that the roughly 10% bigger battery compared to its smaller brother cannot make up for the bigger, higher resolution and higher refresh rate screen, despite it having a variable, not a fixed refresh rate. The predecessor, the Pixel 5, lasted only 3 minutes longer. The remaining 3 all made it to the 8-hour mark, with the Pixel 6 being on single digits only. And I cannot stress enough how amazing the battery life on the iPhone 13 Pro Max is, with 38% remaining. Zoom is always a very intense app, and at 8 hours and 9 minutes, the Pixel 6 died. It did last roughly an hour longer than its bigger brother, so the battery life is pretty good. Nothing incredible, but definitely respectable. After the meeting had concluded, I did move on to some more Instagram Reels. And just past the 9-hour mark, the S21 Ultra died, making it to 9 hours and 5 minutes. A very good result. Still not on the level of the iPhone, but that's just out of this world. The Samsung does have one of the best battery lives you can get on an Android device. Very impressive stuff here. At 10 hours of screen on time plus 9 hours of standby, the iPhone still had 15% remaining, which is just insane. It made it past the 11-hour mark and past the 12-hour mark, and at 12 hours and 32 minutes, it finally died. That's almost double the battery life of the OnePlus 9 Pro. Very, very impressive stuff here. Battery life is only one side of the medallion. The other side is, of course, charging. The Pixel 5 has the slowest charging out of all of them at 18 watts, 25 watts on the S21 Ultra, 27 unofficially supported on the iPhone, and 30 watts on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, while the OnePlus more than doubles that with a whopping 65 watt fast charging. 15 minutes in, the Pixel 6 Pro surprisingly has the least amount of charge with only 19% charged. It does make sense that the regular 6 has slightly faster charging as it has a smaller battery. The rest are in the mid-20s, with the OnePlus completely dominating, having already 53% charged. Half an hour in, the trend somewhat continues, with the OnePlus again completely dominating with 83% charged already, more than double what the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro have. The iPhone and the Samsung did meet their advertised 50% charged in 30 minutes, or close to that, but the new Pixels completely failed to do that. Not a good look. The OnePlus only took around 37 minutes to fully charge. Very, very impressive stuff. An hour in, the Samsung is almost fully charged with 92%, while the new Pixels are really not doing well at all. The 6 Pro doesn't even have 2/3 charged yet, which is not great. The Samsung took around 1 hour and 14 minutes to fully charge, which is not super fast. That's still twice as long as the OnePlus 9 Pro. However, given its big battery and the very good battery life, that's still a respectable result. Next was the Pixel 5 at 1 hour and 45 minutes. The iPhone took an hour and 49 minutes. Definitely pretty slow charging, but again, it has insane battery life, so you don't have to charge it that often. The Pixel 6 took around 2 hours and 5 minutes to fully charge, and the 6 Pro took around 2 hours and 20 minutes to fully charge, which is really, really slow. What do you guys think of these results? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Despite having the biggest battery ever on a Pixel device, the 6 Pro and the 6 do not have great battery life, and charging is very slow. The regular non-Pro model surprisingly did have quite a bit better battery life, and it charges slightly faster, but they're both very slow at charging. Is that a deal breaker for you guys? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you'll be picking up a new Pixel 6 device, make sure you're subscribed, and if you hit the notification bell to not miss any of my upcoming Pixel 6 and 6 Pro videos. Watch these two videos next, and I'll see you guys in the next one.